Hey YouTube, we are back again this week for another video portion of the Daily Dose Sports Podcast. Hope you're all out there doing well. We actually haven't started the show just yet, and we have some news for you, kind of about what's happening here at the Dose, and we also just have some sports news for you in general, so let's jump in right now. Wednesday, May 12th, 2021, you are listening to the Daily Dose Sports Podcast, and I am your host, Clint Daly, coming to you from the Mile High City here in Denver, Colorado, and we are back for another week of talking sports with a dose of common sense. Hey, happy Wednesday to you. I hope your week is going well. Hope it's off to a good start. Hope you and your family and friends are all staying healthy, doing well in this spring time of the year. We are happy to have you here with us today. And you know, I'm going to be real honest with you today. It's actually been a rough few weeks here at the Dose. I don't usually talk about anything too personal here on the podcast. I might share something here or there, but I don't do too much of that here on the show. But I've not been feeling all that great going back about a month or so. And no, it isn't COVID or any COVID vaccine related things. No, I have had a different affliction that I've been dealing with now for about a month. And by a month, I mean much, much longer, because I have actually been fighting kidney stones. Now, before you start saying things like, oh, Clint, you're getting old, and the next step for you is like Depends undergarments, understand this. I have had kidney stones since I was a kid. In fact, I got my first kidney stone sitting in class in high school. I've had surgery for them multiple times. We think we've figured out why I get them, and we're hoping that I won't get any more. But let me clear up a few, let's say, misconceptions about kidney stones. A lot of people hear that term and they don't know exactly what that is. They think it has something like to do with your, genitals or something. I will tell you, a kidney stone is this intense stabbing pain in your lower back, and it kind of goes forward into your stomach. See, there's this very narrow tube that runs from your kidney to your bladder, and this stone, which by the way kind of looks like a medieval mace, it's like a ball with like spikes all over it. Well, it pushes through that tube and it causes intense pain, it causes bleeding, it causes fever, it causes vomiting, it's a whole thing. Anyways, I've been fighting a kidney stone for the past month or so, and there's not a whole lot you can really do for it. You take a ton of pain relievers, you chug as much water as you can, you try to walk or stay active, one, to help move the stone, kind of bounce it down through that tube, and two, to get the water to process its way out of your stomach. Well, you will be happy to know that the kidney stone has now passed, and I am feeling good again. Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate that. You know, they always tell you that when you have a kidney stone and you actually pass it and you collect it, they make you strain it and all this stuff and you get it, then they turn it in and see what it's made of. They always tell you you should name your kidney stones once you pass them for someone that you don't really like. Well, I've got good news today on the Dose, kids. Little LeBron is in a better place. Hey, if you'd like to contact the show, maybe tell us, I don't know, if you've ever suffered a kidney stone yourself or gallstones or whatever kind of stones you've had. By the way, I know a lot of people get like a kidney stone and they say, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. What are they talking about? I totally would wish that on my worst enemy. Anyway, feel free to hit us up on email, dailydosports@gmail.com, or go find us over on Facebook or Twitter. Both of those handles are at Daily Dose Sports. Doesn't have to be kidney stone related. Maybe you're bored. Maybe you want to talk sports. Maybe you've got a question about the upcoming NFL season. We've got some answers for you. Feel free to reach out. In fact, I heard from a couple people just this past week. One person had an NFL question. A couple people had Major League Baseball questions. Feel free to send those in. We'll always get you an answer. We just might end up using what you send on the show. Also, as long as you're still doing online shopping, which we all are, feel free to stop by tpublic.com and pick up some Daily Dose gear. We've got t-shirts, we've got hoodies, we've got sweatshirts. You can pick whatever color you want. Make sure you stop by tpublic.com and get some Daily Dose gear. Always nice to wear some Daily Dose gear when you head out in public, so make sure you stop by and get yours. Hey, today on the show, the NFL draft is over. We have nothing coming in the NFL until like rookie camps and mini camps, and if the players even allow it, training camp. But that doesn't mean that we don't have some questions for the NFL. Today, we are going to be plowing through every team in the league and look at one pressing question that we have for each team going into this next season. So we've got a lot to get to today on the dose because that's a lot of teams to cover. But first, there are a few things coming out in the world of sports that I want to touch on. Look, I know that the NCAA screws up most everything that they touch. But I'm actually going to give them a little bit of credit today on the dose because the NCAA Men's Basketball Rules Committee has proposed a rule that would assess a technical foul to players who fake being fouled. Are they calling that like the LeBron James rule? Not sure. It would be a Class B technical foul, so the opposing team would get one free throw attempt, and the player would not actually be assessed a personal foul. Under the current rules, a player is warned after flopping for the first time in a game. According to the release from the NCAA, if the rule is approved by the NCAA Playing Rules Oversight Panel coming up on June 3rd, players could get hit with a technical foul for things like falling to the court despite not being contacted after field goal attempts, or dribblers who bob their head to simulate being contacted, and players who act like they were the recipient of contact despite the fact they were never touched. According to Tad Boyle, who is the committee chair and head coach at the University of Colorado, he says, after 2 years of using warnings, we didn't feel like we were getting the results that we wanted. We're trying to get flopping out of our game. We're asking the officials to call them when they happen. And like I said, I give the NCAA a ton of credit for this. The NBA should take a lesson from the NCAA here. Because here's the thing. I know that we kind of just act like, oh, flopping, it's just kind of gamesmanship. No, it's cheating. It's blatantly cheating, and it's blatantly trying to manipulate the officials who are doing their best to rule this game. But this will never happen in the NBA. They should put it in, but the players' union would never allow it to happen. They would say it takes away the players' rights as, I don't know, interpretive actors or something, which is what they are becoming more and more every day. Less basketball players and more actors. But I'm telling you, I think fans would love it. If you go up, you don't get touched, and you fall to the ground, and they were just like, hey, that's technical. We're not putting up with that nonsense. You would get rid of so much of this nonsense. The NBA won't do it, but they should take a look at this rule, and they should institute it. The NBA needs this rule. Finally, we are going to talk a little horse racing today. I know, kind of shocking. We don't do that very often. But apparently, Medina Spirit's victory in the Kentucky Derby is in serious jeopardy because of a positive post-race drug test. One that prompted Churchill Downs to suspend Hall of Fame trainer Bob Baffert immediately over the weekend in the latest scandal to plague the sport. We've seen a lot of this stuff happening in horse racing lately. Now, if you don't know who Bob Baffert is, you know when they have these big races, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, whatever, and you see the guy with all the white hair and his horse always wins, that's the guy. Well, Baffert has denied all wrongdoing and promised to be fully transparent with the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission during their investigation, but Baffert's barn received word over the weekend that Medina Spirit had tested positive for an excessive amount of the steroid betamethasone, which is sometimes used to treat pain and inflammation in horses, but they say the levels of that drug in the horse were much too high. Medina Spirit's win over Mandaloun in the Derby is going to stand for now, they say. The track said that failure to comply with the rules and medication protocols jeopardizes the safety of horses and jockeys, the sport's integrity, and the Derby's reputation. Now, get this. Medina Spirit is Baffert's fifth horse known to have failed a drug test in just over a year. Can we all stop pretending that Baffert is just better than everyone else? Well, I mean, I guess he is better at one thing. He's better at getting away with cheating. But here's one thing I want you to watch. I'm going to bet that this victory at the Derby will not be overturned at all. Oh, they might give him a little slap on the wrist, and they're going to say, we're going to monitor you more closely, and we're going to test your horses immediately after every race, and all this kind of stuff. They'll give him some slap on the wrist. But you know why this won't be overturned? Because of sports betting. Because bets have already been paid. There's no do-overs on those bets. You think the people that already won money are going to bring the money back? Yeah, me neither. So this win will stand. But make no mistake, Baffert is clearly cheating. His horses keep coming up with drugs in their system. But sports betting is going to have to figure out some protocols for weird situations like this, because it's obvious this horse had things in their system they shouldn't have had. So they shouldn't win. And yet I will bet there's not going to be a disqualification. This horse will still be named the Kentucky Derby winner because they can't do it over and give everybody money back and get the money back from bettors that won. For that reason, Medina Spirit's win is going to stand, like it or not. Okay, YouTube, make sure you go over and you check out the rest of the podcast. This week on The Dose, with the NFL draft now over, we are beginning to look forward to this next season. We actually have questions for every single team in the NFL. We are going to hit every single NFL team with the biggest question that we have for them going into the 2021 season. So make sure you go out and you check out the rest of the podcast. I will leave a link to the full podcast here on YouTube in the comments for you. Hope you all are doing well. I will see you all next Wednesday. Have a great week.